Hey guys, welcome back to Altaz-Review, where we talk about how the newest titles stack up to the old classics. Now that Skull and Bones is finally released, it's time to make the obvious connection to Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag and what kind of pirate game it was. It's not so much of a comparison, but a callback to why we wanted a game like Skull and Bones in the first place. But while we're on the topic, let's see what other ideas Ubisoft can take from Assassin's Creed Black Flag and what kind of elements we're still waiting for that maybe they'll add into Skull and Bones eventually. So let's get right into it. Assassin's Creed Black Flag was an assassin game in terms of lore, but the overall gameplay was totally committed to the era it took place in. From dual-wielding cutlasses and pistols and finding a crew for your own upgradable ship, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is a perfectly executed pirate game. It's not just a beautiful open sea with several enemy ships, but it's how you can sail your ship and use specific weapons that forces you to think like a captain for each encounter. Black Flag uses combat, free roam, and world building to make the area feel alive and worth exploring. Exploration in Assassin's Creed Black Flag seems simple enough. Pick up floating cargo and dock at interesting islands. But the sea itself poses a few threats and interesting challenges. Depending on how fast you want to sail and how fast winds can be from any specific direction, you need to adjust the sails by telling your crew whether you want full sails, half sails, or even no sails. The simple controls for changing the sail speed makes it interesting to give quick commands and make meaningful adjustments while sailing. It ends up feeling kind of like driving, where you need to maneuver the vehicle according to the road or terrain. It's not really complicated, but having to adjust your vehicle ever so slightly keeps you engaged in what you're doing and doesn't let it feel so boring. The other very natural event would be high tides, which can end up causing some serious damage to your ship and might even show up mid-fight. To avoid damage, you have to get far away from the building wave, or you can sail stern first right into it, so that you come out from the other side. Whether a wave shows up naturally, in a storm, or even in a fight, it feels like a scene straight out of Pirates of the Caribbean. Along with the fun of maneuvering the sea shanties naturally make sailing feel as calming as possible. A good sea shanty will hype you up and chill you out at the same time, and it's even better than having a radio like games in modern settings. There's also the more action-based elements, like ship fighting and taking over ships. There's a ton of ships spread around the map, and you can use the crow's nest or your own telescope to scope out the ships and even find out whether they're the Navy or rival pirates. And you'd best check what kind of ship you're up against. There's the tiny gunboats, the medium shooters, the big frigates, and then the terrifying man-of-wars that are absolute monsters. You can go up against a bunch of shooters pretty easily, or maybe even survive against 2 or 3 frigates, considering your own ship is a frigate too. But a man-of-war is basically a ship monster truck with more than enough cannons to turn you into Swiss cheese. But after all that preparation, it's the fight itself that's the heart of the game. You have a certain amount of ammo and your main weapon, the cannons, only fire from the sides. So you can't just go full speed into a battle. There's a lot of skill required to be faster than the enemy and still keep them on your right or left side to get a good hit with your cannons. You also have a swivel cannon for precision, but it takes longer to aim and won't do as much damage unless you hit the sails or some gunpowder barrels on the other ship. Eventually, you also get mortars to destroy several ships at once. But don't forget, other ships also have all these same tactics. So it really is all about who's the better sailor and who's the best captain. And even after you defeat an enemy, you can then board the ship and defeat the captain. You could always blow up the red ship where it stands, but defeating the captain means you have a chance to recruit the crew as well. Slowly getting the materials you need to upgrade your ship feels rewarding when encounters get easier or when you get a new upgrade that changes your style. I loved getting the upgraded stern so I could ram ships at full speed. And after a long day of sailing, you can always walk around the ship and see what your crew is up to, or just check out your ship yourself. There's even a lot of bonus activities outside of combat. Hunting sharks and whales and going underwater to find treasure and abandoned ships adds to the overall pirate adventure. There's even a lot of treasure maps that lead you to some faraway islands, and then exploring the islands is a whole new level of fun. But I'd say that goes more to the Assassin's Creed way of things rather than the pirate side. But regardless, whether you're out on the sea or exploring islands, there's a lot of action and exploration that suits the pirate life. As a game, Assassin's Creed Black Flag is more about the pirate life for the majority of the game. Even after the assassin side of the game picks up, it still doesn't overcome all the pirate elements in story and gameplay. But considering how great Black Flag was as a pirate game, many players hope to see a game that went 100% into that pirate gameplay. Even though all the pirate elements were perfect, there was more we wanted to see to improve the game even more. For one, the crew could be made a little more personal, like choosing better crewmates that can make the ship work better or make certain tasks easier, depending on the type of crew. If nothing else, a personalized crew would be great for immersion. Aside from that, it would also be pretty great to have a chance to battle famous pirates through history. Without using a realistic story, it wouldn't be an issue to make special events where we can fight Blackbeard or Francis Drake. And then being able to customize your ship can always go a little further. But I think we all want a chance to officially own a man of war, regardless of how hard it might be to obtain it. Just being able to sail a beast of a ship whenever you want will make things way more fun. There's also the possibility of using game elements similar to Sea of Thieves, where ships can be damaged and need to be repaired, or that you need to manage supplies and gold on the ship. If fans don't want such a hardcore game, just the basic requirement to restock supplies, ammo, and repair your ship every now and then would be a slightly more immersive element while keeping things pretty casual. Assassin's Creed Black Flag will always be remembered as one of the best pirate games, and being a single-player game still gives it a certain edge over its multiplayer counterparts in certain areas. But when you make comparisons, games like Black Flag and Sea of Thieves used a lot of ideas that could be used together when making Skull and Bones. At the very least, Ubisoft is definitely maintaining its image with the recent Prince of Persia installment, and now with Skull and Bones, which isn't as bad as we expected. But it's also not really worth it. It doesn't really expand on the Black Flag gameplay, and instead waters it down a little while choosing to put more focus into the store purchases and online grinding mechanics. It may not be fair to compare a single-player game with an online game, but when Skull and Bones was inspired by the success of Assassin's Creed Black Flag, it's a little disappointing that Skull and Bones didn't end up being the dream game we were waiting for. Many Assassin's Creed Black Flag players might not be inclined to play Skull and Bones, considering they would rather just play Black Flag or the possible Black Flag remake. But new players might give it a chance, as Skull and Bones could become the casual version of Sea of Thieves. Interestingly enough, I don't think many people expected much of Skull and Bones, after so many delays and speculations. But that's why seeing it be a fairly okay game is a nice surprise. As far as waiting goes, I think most people who are waiting for Skull and Bones might continue waiting now for Assassin's Creed Black Flag's remake instead. But this comparison speaks more for how amazing Assassin's Creed Black Flag is, and how well it's held up as an Assassin's Creed game, as an open world game, and even as a pirate game. Well, that's just me revisiting a good old classic. Since it's an online exploration game, I think there's a lot more time before we can really judge Skull and Bones. We all have our first impressions, but let's see what kind of audience this game can get. So let me know what you guys think about Assassin's Creed Black Flag and how Skull and Bones compares. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Until then, I hope I see you in the next video.